Hello, and thank you all for joining us today. We are gathered here to talk about brand partnerships and everything that entails through RockPorch. So if you're interested in learning about what it takes to score brand deals, to discover what the process looks like, you're at the right place. So please go ahead and type in the chat box the ideal brand that you would love to work with. And if you've been on a brand campaign, either with us or with any other company before, go ahead and type the brand that you've worked with before, as we're waiting for everyone to kind of slowly drift in. And so we can start our brand conversation.
Yeah.
So it seems like no one's here yet. Let's look at these comments. Oh, just kidding. I was in the wrong chat box. Wow. Whoa. Okay. So Steve Gomez, good morning from California. Ooh, another Bay Area, Adam. We got Jennifer from Phoenix, Joanna from Washington. Happy Wednesday from NorCal, Tammy. Oh, I believe that's one of our brand ambassadors. Hello. Mm-hmm. Alex from Louisville, KY. What is that? What's KY?
Kentucky.
Oh gosh. We got New Jersey. Okay, so Alex said that he would love to work with REI and Subaru. All right. We have ideal brand partnerships from Allie, Gregory Pax, REI, and the ultimate goal is Toyota in Canada. All right, good to know. A lot of those brands. Good morning from Minnesota. Used to live there. Shout out. Hello from Colorado, Katie and Joe. Amazing. Texas, Mark, Rachel, Chicago. Woo, I'm in Chicago too, Rachel. We should meet up. Allie from BC, Canada. Love our Canadian creators. Thank you guys for being on our platform. Teal from Central Texas. A lot of our team lives in Texas, so shout out. Yep, Academy Sports is huge there. Alexandra from El Paso. Alex, KY is Kentucky. Thank you. You know what? Yeah, it's all good. Thank you for that. Alexandra from love to work with REI. We got so many people here. Christy Street. I believe that's off the grid streets. She wants to work with Bass Pro. Tammy would love to work with Black Diamond REI. Teal has worked with a lot of smaller brands and tourism brands. Okay, I hope that you've been linking to our TripAdvisor brands because our brand. Christy's from Oregon. Madeline from CO. I believe Madeline, yes, would love to work with Tiva and Ultra. This is all great information for our brand manager. So thank you guys for putting this. Sarah from Colorado, love to work with REI. Toyota again, interesting. North Face, LL Bean. Joseph, Ideal Partnerships, Delta Air. We have Spirit. I know it's not no Delta, but Get Your Guide, which is also on our platform, and other tourism boards. Joanna would love to work with more outdoor companies. Woodstock from Florida, which is where Jen's at. Jennifer would love to work with REI Columbia. Nancy from South Alabama. And Joseph says, hi, Sarah. Oh, I love that you guys all know each other. And wow, that was a lot of people. Okay, let's, now that you have experience kind of using the chat box, that is where you'll drop questions if any arise as we're talking. So if they're relevant to the current conversation and we see them, we can answer it right then and there. I know that last webinar was more of a conversation, but this will be a little bit more like an interview. Not saying that, you guys, but please continue to drop your questions. But we definitely will have a dedicated 10 to 15 minutes at the very end of the webinar to answer all of your questions. All right, let's move on to introductions really quick. I'm Elaine, the Creator Development Manager here at RockPorch. I was a full-time content creator myself for 7 years and only recently transitioned to now helping you at RockPorch develop your skills as a creator, specifically in the money-making department to help you increase your creator income. And this is Jen, our amazing director of brand partnerships. Jen has worked with a multitude of companies and creators across various niches, platforms, industry types, and brings a wealth of knowledge in building brand strategy and campaign management. She was also born in Puerto Rico, has lived in many places like Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, and the Galapagos. And she's a huge avid rock climber and spends most of her weekends actually at the gym walls because she lives in Florida and it's flat. So please welcome Jen.
Yay. Thanks for that intro, Elaine. That was so nice.
Yes. All right, let's dive. Oh, sorry. Let's dive on in. Let's get this started. So, how can a creator create a media kit that stands out from the crowd?
Cool. So media kits are basically your digital resume as a creator. I'm sure you guys all have some version of a media kit or some version of your stats that you've put together for different brands. But your media kit should show off your audience size, your engagement stats, who your followers are, highlight your past works, your rates. Think of it as a quick way to show brands why teaming up with you is the right move, and what you can bring to them. Whether it's your unique voice or your awesome content or your dedicated fans, you're going to bring something unique to the partnership. So your media kit should showcase your personality, and whether you use a template on Canva or like an auto-generating media kit like the one on Beacons, find a way to have your voice shine through like personalized touches. I think is always a good thing. When I'm looking at media kits, I always like to be able to see someone's personality come through in their media kit. So here are some media kit tips. I know this is a super high-tech version of a slide for you guys, but I will put that back up so you guys can take a picture of it later. But okay, first tip is show off social proof. So highlight any like media mentions or past partnership collaborations, anything that shows your past work, boosts your credibility and shows people that you're somebody that they want to partner with. Keep it user friendly. So I really like when media kits have a really good flow. It makes it easy to read through and kind of understand who you are. So something clean and organized. Use high resolution pictures. We're all kind of in this influencer marketing media world. So you want to make sure that you have high resolution pictures so that it conveys that you create really good content. And then customizable sections. So kind of like your resume where you fill in different things depending on which job you're applying for. You want to be able to have maybe a little bit of customization in your media kit when you're sending it to different brands, depending on who you want to partner with. That can look like, including different brand partnerships or highlighting different aspects of your content. Like maybe you do some lifestyle content, maybe you're doing some outdoor content, whatever it may be. And then lastly, your location. Location-based campaigns are becoming way more popular. And also like the location of who your audience is, those things can help you get selected for brand campaigns. So definitely put where you live and where your audience is mostly based out of. So here's my little tip board again. I don't know if y'all can see it. Let me know in the comments.
Yeah.
Ooh. Cool. Another thing I want to mention, I'm sure all of you guys saw Elaine's newest RockPorch post on our Instagram, where she kind of shares more about the Beacons Media Kit. That's a really interesting new feature that they have, and it automatically updates all of your stats. So instead of having to go back and update your media kit on a consistent basis, finding an automatically updating media kit can help you save time, and it lends you credibility because Beacons will say like this has been checked or verified by Beacons. So all of your stats and metrics are, official.
Cool. We have a quick question from Allie, which is relevant.
Yeah.
So Allie says, how many pages should a media kit be?
That's a really good question, Allie. I would say 1, maybe 2 tops, kind of like a resume. People don't want to just like be looking through a ton of information. Trying to keep it with that clean, organized flow and like pretty concise. Obviously, you want to include all of the information that you're trying to get across, all of your metrics and past partnerships and that like personalized touch. But yeah, I think keeping it concise is the best way to go.
Cool. All right, I'll also drop the link to our media kit reel that we just did in case you guys wanted to watch it. But let's dive into brand partnerships and what does a typical brand campaign look like through RockPorch, and what are some of the key stages that that creators should be aware of?
Yeah, actually, right before we jump into this question, I want to go back to the media kit one. Just something that I want to mention is, for me, one of the least important metrics is your follower count. So metrics that matter more or that you might want to like highlight more are your average or median views, traffic and sales for brands that you've either done like affiliate work for or different brand campaigns for, your demographics for your following, engagement rate, and your reach. Those are all specific ones that I think should be like higher in the ones that you highlight. But cool. Okay, so going back to what a typical brand campaign looks like and kind of key stages that you guys should be aware of. So the way everything works on our end for RockPorch is that once RockPorch and one of our brand partners decides to partner on a campaign, we work together to build out a specific strategy based on their goals or their KPIs, which are key performance indicators. And so from there, we talk about what products we want to highlight, what messages we want to highlight, what kind of like content creators we're looking for based on like the content or their audience demographics. And then from there, we work to pick creators. Once creators go through an approval process with the brand, which is we build out a list of creators for them, send it to the brand, and the brand goes through and kind of approves who they think would be a good fit for the campaign. We start reaching out. And then once we've negotiated and locked you in for a campaign, we want concepts so the brand can approve them, and then the content for approval, and then it's ready to go live. One thing that's kind of important, which I don't know if y'all have done on previous campaigns, you can drop it in the chat if you have, but that concepting phase is really important because if we can talk about what you plan to do for the video, or what your thoughts are, or how to work with the brand, it shows that you're really willing to work with the brand and kind of provide them the content that they're looking for. And then also it saves you time on the back end, so you don't have to do a ton of changes or edits or end up having your content feel like inauthentic.
Cool. This is a great question from Joseph, actually. He said, what should we do when we hear from brands that we won't work with? That won't work with the creator unless they have, for example, 10K followers?
Sometimes brands have that strategy for a specific campaign. Maybe they're looking for like big creators for that specific campaign, but I would say don't let that discourage you from continuing to reach out and send them your media kit and express interest in working with them, because there are different strategies where you would want to work with creators that might have like a smaller, more tight-knit following that has higher engagement. And the more that you continue to express your interest and kind of show brand loyalty, the more willing they are to work with you down the line. And also, sorry, Elaine. And also some brands are willing to like invest in you. So maybe they're not wanting to work with creators of a certain size at that point, but as you continue to grow and as they see that you're growing, they'll start investing in you, and then you guys can grow together, which is something that I've seen with different creators as well.
Cool. We're actually getting a lot of media kit questions, so we're going to reel it back.
Let's go.
And talk about that. So Ali also asked, do you recommend putting media kit on your website only or sending it via email to the brand? I've heard conflicting answers to this.
That is a good question, Ali. So I would always suggest putting it in a link tree or somewhere accessible when people are looking for you when they go find you. You want to be able to have those stats ready, because sometimes people are just like searching manually. Some brands may not have like the ability to work with the agencies and they still want to partner with creators. And so definitely have it in a place that's visible and accessible to brands if they're looking manually. But then also if you have interest in working with a brand in particular, reach out. Definitely email it to them. And then something else that I've heard is kind of a good tip is if you're DMing a brand from your account and they can see directly like, oh, she has this many followers or this kind of engagement or this kind of content, and it fits really well with our brand. Sometimes a DM might even work better than an email.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And okay, another really great and a little controversial as well question. Rachel, should your media kit include your rates?
I like to see base rates for sure when in media kits. I know that this is kind of up to the creator. Sometimes you want to put the like ask me button and try to start a conversation, especially if you're pretty flexible with what your rates are. But if you are very much like, I have a hard rate, I have a ton of brand deals coming in, I don't want to partner with somebody that isn't going to give me specific time of day or whatever I'm looking to make, then I would say put it in there. But That being said, I would also be flexible and work on a negotiation, because sometimes you can develop really good partnerships. And after maybe the first partnership, you can develop something long-term and get more rev from them, on a long-term basis.
Rev as in revenue for those who
Revenue.
brand hack. All right, let's we're getting so many good questions. I'm just gonna continue. Alex, how do we connect with brands to see if they're interested in working with us?
Yeah, so many ways. You can either email them. There are a lot of ways to find different brand emails. One of the ways that I've done it in the past is through LinkedIn. So if you are looking to work with a specific brand and you find somebody in their marketing team or their influencer team, they might redirect you to the agency that they're partnered with, like us. If you're partnered with us and you're interested in potentially connecting with a brand, we can always reach out to the brand and see if we can develop some sort of partnership on behalf of the creator or on a larger basis. Like I mentioned earlier, that DMing is a really good way to kind of present your accounts and social platform before you've even kind of introduced the idea of a collaboration. Yeah, or if you know any creator friends, that's why having a creator community can be really helpful, who've partnered with them in the past and you want to get connected with the brand. Tap into your people. That might help as well.
Cool. Let's jump over. I know there's a ton of questions, but I think this might actually answer some of them. In terms of like, what criteria do we use to select specific creators for our campaigns, and how can creators increase their chances of being chosen?
Yeah. So how do we select creators for brand campaigns? First things first is we look at like brand strategy. So original creator selection would be based around what are the campaign goals, like what location is a store opening in, or maybe this brand is looking for specific audience demographics, like we want to target women between 25 and 40 with children who make household purchasing decisions. It can be as specific as that. Maybe the strategy is to work with creators within a specific niche, like runners or overlanders or outdoor cooking. Sometimes it's content specific, like we're looking for a lifestyle blogger who does a lot of get ready with me's, or we want couples who make comedy content. So having a strong sense of what kind of your content is and the direction of your content is a good long-term strategy to secure those kinds of brand deals. And then RockPorch specific, whenever we have a brand campaign, we work with people a lot of times who aren't just looking for brand awareness. They're looking specifically to drive sales and traffic to their website, which honestly is always kind of a brand's goal, is to increase traffic or sales or intent to purchase through awareness. And so they want to find creators who have kind of an authentic creation or connection with the brand, or who have an audience who really trusts their recommendations and acts on those recommendations. So one of the best ways on our end to see what creators might be good for a campaign is to be able to look at the data that we have in RockPorch that says like, oh, they've driven X amount of sales and X amount of traffic for a specific brand, which is why I mentioned including something like that in your media kit, especially like in a personalized section if you're trying to reach out to a specific brand. And you would be able to find all of that data in your RockPorch dashboard.
Yeah, which actually answers Christy's question, which is, she says, what if we don't have any data on previous partnerships, i.e. sales or revenue data? Christy, girl, I know that you have a ton of data from TripAdvisor. And so regardless if you have and those in essence are sales, yes, because your click conversion rate is super, super high. And so that could be, great to input, pull that data from your RockPorch dashboard. Another question from Anna, do we show the media kit when we first reach out to them or after we have the conversation going?
Okay, also a controversial question because it really depends on the person on the receiving end and the person on the sending end. I like to have a conversation first, but it really could depend on the person. I think sending your media kit originally can clear up a lot of what the conversation would be. But sometimes starting the conversation and creating that connection with the other person first before jumping into business can be helpful. So I guess it just depends on what your goal is. Are you looking to develop a connection and potentially like a long-term partnership? Or are you looking to like, hey, I see that you guys have been working with a lot of creators. Let me put myself out there and send you my media kit and see if you're interested in what I've got. So it just depends on kind of you. And I think that says a lot to whoever it is that you're reaching out to as well.
Yeah, because I feel like both for Jen and I, if we were to look at a media kit, right? If you have your rates, it prompts faster conversation versus if you don't, then it's almost like a barrier to entry in terms of like, okay, well, they're concealing information, and so I don't know how to start the conversation. But as Jen literally just said, it's person to person, preference, which is why it's hard.
Actually, piggybacking off of that really quickly, if you really want to work with a brand and you're like, maybe I'd be willing to flex my rates in order to work with this brand, maybe sending your media kit and just like sending those rates out might discourage them, especially if they don't have a specific budget, or your rates are higher than what they're looking for their specific strategy. So if you're like, I really want to partner with this brand, and it's less about like securing the brand deal and more about like, again, developing that connection with them, I would say like start the conversation, and kind of develop that relationship first, and then send the media kit. Because then it's like, well, if they like you already and they like your content and they want to partner with you, you've got a good vibe going, then yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next, Alex asked a question that I was going to ask you in 2 questions, but we'll jump to his question because I was going to ask you anyways. So how can you explain how creators should price themselves for collaboration and what factors should they consider?
Yeah. This is a great question. And I know that we've got a ton of questions in the chat, but this is more like a general question. Does anybody know what a CPM is? If you do, will you drop it in the chat? I just want to know, like, is this common among creators? Do we know?
I just dropped the question. Dun, dun, dun. Well, why don't you explain it?
No, it's cost per mille. I don't know. I like mille because it sounds like Italian, but essentially CPM is what a brand looks at when they're like considering cost of a campaign. So that's cost. CPM is what it costs to show your ad or your piece of content to 1,000 people. So if a brand wants to reach 1,000 people through your content, CPM is going to help them understand like how much to pay. So that's probably one of the main calculations in a brand's like in a brand campaign's success. So CPM is kind of a hard thing because there are a couple of different ways that you want to price your content. You want to look at your CPM, and that's your basic like views and engagement rate. And then you also want to consider like there's time and effort that I've put into creating this content. And I'm leveraging this audience and the relationship I've built with them through my rates. So those are the things that you want to consider. My tip is you should kind of understand different CPMs per platform, per content niches, per industry types. It's a little bit of homework, a little bit of research that I'm asking y'all to do, but understanding this will give you a more clear, measurable way to price your content and keep your rates consistent, and can also help you get more consistent brand work. Here's kind of an example. If you're pricing your content based on maybe rates that you've heard from your friends, or what you think you should make versus like having data to back it up and kind of understanding where that price is coming from, then you might not get as many brand campaigns. Obviously, like everyone here is a good content creator. That's why you're on RockPorch. And so like you will make money doing brand campaigns and you will eventually secure a brand campaign. But if you want consistent work, you should know how to price yourself correctly from a brand's perspective, because that's going to help you win. So yeah, when setting your rates, it should reflect your own views and engagement. And then quality can also play a factor in your rate. So if you've got like drone shots and high quality videography stuff going, Even if you're not getting as many views, that might increase the price of your content. Or if you're trying to license it to a brand so for them to use as a paid ad, that might add to your rate. But avoid overpricing, because excessively high rates and charging based on what others make could limit your opportunities in the long run.
Okay, so let's talk about like typical timelines for campaigns, specifically with RockPorch. How far in advance do creators usually know about our upcoming opportunities?
I'm so sorry. Will you repeat that question?
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying, what are some of the typical timelines for campaigns on RockPorch, and how far in advance do creators usually know about these upcoming opportunities?
Yeah. So campaign timelines can vary, and it can vary depending on the brand, whether or not they planned long term or they want to move really quickly on a brand campaign. For us, we like to plan things a couple weeks in advance at least. I minimum like to give creators at least 2 to 3 weeks from when we get them signed onto a campaign to when content is supposed to go live. That should give you enough time to get product and to make content or submit concepts and then get everything approved before it goes live. Again, that's why we ask for concepts, so that we don't have to go back and forth in the 9th hour to try and get everything done. And then it stresses you out and us out and everybody out. So one thing, especially when we're talking about rates, if you are on a campaign that's moving really quickly, or if you have maybe a week or a week and a half to submit content, get it approved, and then post, that could add to your rate too. So if there is a little bit of a rush in getting content posted, maybe adjust your rate a little bit. But also, it could just mean that a brand is like excited to tap you in, and they know that you're a good content creator and that you produce good work and you can do something on a short time. So it depends on your relationship with them.
Yeah. All right, let's jump over to Alex's question. Is YouTube CPM from AdSense revenue a good starting point to look at in terms of, I'm assuming, in terms of pitching brands?
In terms of like setting your own CPMs?
Yeah, I think we need a little bit more context here.
I think doing a little bit more research, because AdSense CPM and like influencer rate CPMs are different, which is why I said there's a little bit of research that goes into it. Okay, yep, and setting your rates. Yeah, so no, I wouldn't look at your AdSense CPM. I would look at YouTube platform CPMs, like average CPMs, and then I would look at kind of your industry type. So like, say, Elaine, do you know what kind of content Alex makes?
He does car stuff.
Cool.
Sorry, that's so vague, but right. And correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. And that's what I remember.
So like YouTube of all of the platforms has one of the higher CPMs, and overlanding in general as an industry type has, I would say, like eking into a little bit of a higher CPM. And then depending on your content type as well. So like, how do you make your content? Is it like a vlog, or is it like a very like, are there like a lot of kind of professional shots and you're like going through like specific recs or tips or things like that? That can all change the CPM.
Yeah. Chrissy said, can we set up an appointment? To get help with setting a rate, because I'm clueless. Yeah. I will be making a video for it. So, and then I will share it with you, Christy, and everyone else.
So be on the lookout for that. But, yeah. And this might be a good time to say this, we're going to be starting our office hours. So that might be a good time to come in. Maybe I can jump in on certain office hours and we can chat more specifically about your kind of content, the platform, and setting rates and what that looks like.
Yes. Okay, cool. Let's talk about let's say a creator is accepted into one of our campaigns. What steps can they take to ensure that brand expectations are met throughout the process? And you kind of answered this a little bit already, but I think this is just so important. So let's make sure to reiterate it.
Yeah. Cool. So with like brand expectations being met throughout the process, kind of two things. One is read your brief. Your brief should be your source of truth for a brand campaign. For us, it's where we make sure we have all of the instructions, the messaging, the do's and don'ts, content examples, timelines, usage rights, exclusivity, everything that you could possibly ask. And if it's not, then always let me know, because I will make sure to answer anything that isn't on there. But even before I lock you in for a campaign, I'll say, hey, can you review the brief and make sure that everything is good to go, that we're totally aligned, and that when you accept this campaign, you're accepting everything that is going into the brief. And that's basically like the scope of the campaign. So read your brief, make sure you're following it as you're coming up with concepts, as you're creating your content, make sure to double check it. Like I said, source of truth. And then the next kind of biggest thing is clear and consistent communication. Just throughout the whole process, throughout the whole campaign, communicate with me. I'm always by my email. I have my phone number in my email bio, so you can text me or call me if there are any issues on a campaign. I've definitely had creators do that before, and I'm always happy to answer. So yeah, as long as we're communicating and we're both kept in the loop, that everything will run smoothly.
Yeah. No, Jen is super available, so don't take advantage of her, but yeah, like she's an amazing resource. And so yeah, 30 minutes have already passed by. So
Holy cow.
if you guys, right? I know, right? I still have several questions that I want to ask, but drop all your questions in there. I will continue to ask mine, and then I will continue to look in the chat to see what other questions we have. But let's continue.
Yes.
How should creators communicate with our team during a campaign, and what kind of updates are we typically looking for in terms of how often?
Yeah. So yeah, like we said, I'm super available. You can reach me by email, phone, or text, even WhatsApp. I had a creator on a campaign recently who was out of the country, and so we were WhatsApping, even with the odd time frames. And then in terms of just a campaign and sending everything over, whether that's concepts or content for approval or post-reporting metrics, which are like the metrics that we request after a campaign. I prefer a Google Drive or a Dropbox link. That can make it really easy to keep track of everything. So it's not just like in several emails or like in a text thread as a screenshot or something. So yeah, finding a way to keep everything in one place and organized can help the success of a campaign for both of us.
Okay, so here's one. What are some common challenges or pitfalls that creators might face during a campaign, and how can you best avoid that or navigate them?
Yeah. There are kind of all sorts of issues that somebody could run into in a campaign, whether it's a shipping problem or you get sick or there's a personal matter that comes up or you have overlapping collaborations and something happened with the other brand, or if you accidentally delete all of the footage right before it's supposed to go live, which is something that has happened to me with one of my creators once. Just let me know. Things happen. We're totally understanding. We're happy to work with you to find a solution. I'm happy to work with you to find a solution. And so that way, overall, the brand still has a good impression of you. And it's better to just keep us in the loop than disappear while you're trying to find a solution for it. Here's an example. Like I had a campaign where a creator got sick, and unfortunately she couldn't reply while she was sick. But when she got back to us, we worked with her to adjust the timeline so that she could take her other collaborations into consideration and kind of make sure that she had all of her ducks in a row. And the brand still wanted to work with her. She still created good content. So even though it was outside of the timeline of the campaign, we still had her on the campaign. She still got paid. It was still great. So yeah, just talk to me, work with me, keep communication clear and consistent.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We have several questions lined up. Get ready, Jen.
Yay.
So Jennifer says, can you talk more about how concepts are submitted on campaign?
Yeah, pretty easy. I would say look over the brief. There are going to be content examples, the overall messaging for the campaign, more information about the brand if you're not super familiar with the brand. And then from there, you can submit a couple of concepts like, oh, I'd love to do either this for a video. Like it can be as broken down as a script or frame by frame or just a general kind of concept like, Something general could be like, I'd love to show a get ready with me, and I'd love to try on 3 different outfits. One is for going out, one is for staying home, one is for working, and one is for, and obviously that's like in a fashion space, and so it might be a little different, but concepts as detailed as you can get might help the brand get a better idea, and then if there are any issues, then they can let you know, but just a general overall concept is also helpful.
Yeah, and I just dropped in the chat box too some of the concepts that our creators pitched for our REI campaign that got accepted and posted. And we kind of, anyways, it's in a video. Check it out. Okay, next. Kristen said, what if we have a brand that we want to see RockPorch partner with? Can we recommend them?
Yes, please. We love your brand suggestions, and I always work to reach out and talk with them and try and get them on the platform and even try to get brand campaigns with them. So if you have any brands that you don't see on RockPorch that you want on there, let our CD team know, let your manager know, and we'll work to get them on.
CD as in creator development team. Yes. All the acronyms. All right, let's go to Connor. Does having an active RockPorch profile help with getting selected for brand campaigns? Yes. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. If you want to take it.
No, it's all you, but yes.
Yes, it does. People that are active, we can kind of check on that data of like how many links are they creating? Are people clicking them? Are they driving sales? Like that kind of data is helpful for us, especially because we work with brands that, like I said, their main goal on a campaign is going to be sales or traffic. So making sure that you're sharing links for the brands that you love, especially because if we have a brand campaign and we see that somebody drives really good sales, that's cool. That's one thing that we'll probably submit them for the partnership. But if you've created like 100 REI links, then I'm like, oh, this person really loves REI. They've got a good brand loyalty. They've got a voice that really connects with the brand. Their audience already knows that this is that this would be an authentic partnership, an organic partnership. And so, yeah, it is super helpful. I would definitely suggest to have an active RockPorch account.
Yeah. So Anna and Joseph actually asked a really similar question. It's along the same veins. Can they apply to our campaigns, or do they just wait for us to reach out for a good fit? And Joseph also said, is there some place that they can apply on the website, or will we only learn about them when someone reaches out to us?
Twofold. Sometimes we have product seeding campaigns, or we have campaigns where we'll reach out to kind of the network and say, hey, is anybody interested in partnering with this specific brand? And so that we could check out their page and gauge their interest. Sometimes it is just we put together based on the data that we've seen on the dashboard or the strategy that the brand is looking to hit for their campaign. So it depends. Maybe some of you have seen the emails that Elaine and Steph sent out about like our Real Truck campaign. Something like that, we would reach out and try to see if anybody's interested and wants to hop on the campaign. But something for like our REI campaign, there was a very specific strategy involved. And so we just submitted our creators based on the data that we already had.
Cool. All right, I have a couple more questions, but feel free to continue dropping your questions. We have a few minutes, like about 5 or 6 or something like that. What kind of data or metrics should creators collect and provide after a campaign concludes? And how does this information help with post-campaign reporting for the brand?
Yeah. So after a campaign has run, we'll typically wait a couple of days to let your content pick up organic traction and kind of see how it does naturally. And then we'll typically boost it. And then after that, we'll say, hey, can you send us all of the data? We need stuff like views, likes, comments, shares, replies, engagement rate, reach, link clicks, any little piece of data that you can provide around your videos, your stories, just your links in general is helpful. It helps us measure the success of the campaign and helps a brand measure the success of the campaign. It also helps us understand what worked well or what we need to improve on for future campaigns. And then it also helps the brand realize that their investment paid off, which can lead to more chances to work with them and for us to give our creators more brand deals in the future. And then in terms of sharing metrics with us. Some creators like to put together like a mini media kit with all of their screenshots and all of their data, which is a pretty neat way to present it to us. But it's also helpful if you just send the screenshots to us directly, because then we can see and we can kind of calculate everything together. And sharing those in a Google folder or a Dropbox link so that it's all in one place is super helpful.
Yeah. A great question from Connor. Do you work with creators with managers on brand campaigns, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I have. It typically looks like we send the offer to a creator, and whether that's directly to the creator's manager or if the creator wants to forward us to their manager so they can negotiate on their behalf, that's cool. Typically, we'll offer the rate to the manager and then just kind of go from there. I think one thing to note is if you have a deal with your manager or whatever your partnership looks like with your manager, I think one pitfall of potentially working with a creator who has a manager is we offer the creator their rate and then a manager wants to tack on their percentage or something after the fact, which wouldn't work. As long as you and your manager's relationship and understanding of how you're going to manage that is clear, then it's all good. We have no qualms with working with a manager, especially if they can help you keep track of all of your brand campaigns and keep everything organized.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of content and campaigns, what makes a creator's content successful in driving engagement and sales? And are there any specific strategies or best practices that you would recommend for them?
Yeah. In terms of your content, I mentioned this earlier, but having a clear direction with your content and knowing like this is my niche, this is the type of content I create. I have this authentic voice. I've really worked to build community with my audiences. You want to make good content when you are doing a brand partnership. I think a lot of people kind of fall into the pitfall of wanting to create a video that looks like an ad that you might see on TV, like an ad placement. And so we always say create good content, not ads. We want something that fits super organically in your page, that if somebody stopped to view it, they wouldn't immediately be like, oh, this is an ad. Like something that hooks them in. And then also, another suggestion for driving sales, which could be a good strategy for you, is to look at your RP dashboard, and then see what products are really resonating with your audience. So like if you share a story and you share a link and you see that 50 people clicked on that link and you normally get like 2 or 3 clicks, what is it about this product that really resonated? Was it the brand? Was it the type of content that you posted? Was it the specific, like maybe it was a pack and you have a lot of people that are looking for like backpacks or fanny packs or things. And then find lookalike products and then share those. Especially if you have a brand campaign where they kind of let you pick the product that you want to promote, or they just like give you the opportunity to pick something. Always pick something that you want, especially if they give you a gift card and you're like, hey, I really needed this backpacking backpack. But also if you're want to kind of make sure that there is success in that campaign, looking at like, oh, I really like this backpack, but I see that I've made a ton of sales on this stovetop and that might do really well for this campaign, can help you secure like long-term partnerships. And that's just kind of like a strategic way to think about it.
Cool. All right, we kind of have a little bit of a social media question, but Steve says I keep getting restrictions from Facebook when we post about hunting pages. Any suggestions?
When we post our page on our hunting pages.
Yeah, I know it's a brand question, but
yeah, it's interesting because our RockPorch links are technically like redirect links. So kind of like a Bitly, it redirects to a site and then it redirects to the brand page. So with like hunting or tactical, anything gun specific that you might see restrictions on, you can typically get away with those. So I would be curious to know what it is exactly that you're sharing, or yeah, I would be interested in learning more about that, just because it shouldn't flag you if you're sharing your RockPorch links.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jen, for your time and your insight today. We will be sending out a recorded version of this webinar so you all can rewatch it later. Also, please save the date for our next webinar, which is going to be August 28th, noon central, where we'll be actually interviewing a few of the creators that were on our paid REI campaign, where they'll kind of share their insights and what it's like from a creator's perspective to be on the campaign. All righty. We'll see you at the next webinar. And thank you again, Jen.
Yeah, thank you guys for
Thanks, everyone.
participating. Bye.
Bye.